Hey Globe Gang, it's Maiysha back in the Globe's Beauty Closet where we gloss, we floss, and we boss every Big Beauty Tuesday. And this Big Beauty Tuesday, I am overwhelmed. They say never meet your heroes, but I met one of mine. Mikki Taylor is best known to fans of Essence magazine as its editor-at-large, before which she was beauty editor, covers director, so many roles in the legend that we know to be Essence and its representation of Black beauty. And in addition to being a motivational speaker, she is also an author, and she recently got together with Audible to pen her own story, Force of Beauty, which chronicles her upbringing in Newark and the incredible, I really mean truly incredible influences that turned her into the beauty and fashion icon that I personally know her to be today, and that a lot of you do too. I won't spoil it for you, but I will say that when you dial into your personal hero and they are sitting in front of an inspiration wall, very much like your own, kind of affirms that you're on the right track. So without further ado, here's our conversation with Mikki Taylor. Mikki, hi. Welcome to Big Beauty Tuesday.
It's so wonderful to be here on Big Beauty Tuesday.
I don't know that we can talk about Black beauty without talking about you, honestly. You are such a huge part of what I feel is the legacy of Black beauty in America. You've written this incredible Audible original, Forces of Beauty. It is a love letter to us, to your hometown of Newark, to your mom. So I felt like there were so many layers on this that I really, really wanted to explore with you. What a remarkable piece of work. How did this project come about?
Things are just destined to be. And I say that because one of the production manager at Audible had invited me to lunch at Audible headquarters. And it was also an opportunity for me to see a conference room that had been named in my honor that I had not had the opportunity to see. It's, the Brick City majors have conference rooms like Savion Glover, Sarah Vaughan, and the like. And so she invited me to see that. We were sitting down having lunch, and our lunch got crashed by Audible founder Don Katz. And we were talking about my story and my history in Newark. And he, I humbly say, was fascinated. And she said to him right on the spot, "Can we do this as a story?" And the rest is history. So it was really wonderful to be able to deep dive into the lives of the strong Black matriarchs who have everything to do with who I became and who I'm becoming. And then to work with the extraordinary filmmaker, Deborah Riley Draper. I had worked with her years ago on the film Versailles 73. And I knew there was no one else that I wanted to do this with. And so there I was finding birth records and death records and history about the city. And I was very emotional by the time we stepped into the studio to record it, because it was like living my life again.
You really do give us this really profound history of Newark, which, like so many American cities, I'm talking to you from Chicago, Detroit's right across the pond, we know this story a little bit too well, this story of whether it be redlining or police brutality or white flight, all these aspects that devastate right. The rest of us who are the infrastructure of these cities. And another piece of history that people might not know about you, right? That your right. mother was the personal makeup artist and wardrobe stylist of Sarah Vaughan. Like, what?
A fascinating experience, especially here in the late 50s and early 60s, and what that meant as Black women. I watched them travel all over the world. And, hearing my mother talk about these stories, I would watch her pack 7 or 8 pieces of luggage that would accompany her. But to talk about the treatment they received as Black women in different countries, and contrasting that, as my mother did, to what they experienced in the Jim Crow South versus what they might experience in London or Belgium or Paris or Australia even. And it was just fascinating to me. That and the fact that my mother could find makeup in Europe that matched my skin and the brown skin of those in our neighborhood. But when we would shop at stores, there was nothing of the ilk that spoke to us. You know, I always say that I grew up in beauty school because that's what our home was like. That's what my mother's first beauty salon was like in the heart of Newark, New Jersey. It was like beauty school. And particularly as it spoke to inner and outer beauty and how we saw ourselves at a time when Black women were largely invisible women in the nation.
Well, I mean, you made Black women visible. Essence might have been one of the first places that you saw a broad range of Black beauty, all different hues and textures. And by the time I came on the scene as a plus size model, sizes, it just felt so purposeful and so encompassing. How did you make it so intentional?
For me, it became a personal mission because we didn't have the luxury of Caucasian women, if you will, where there were, you know, hundreds of titles on the newsstand that spoke to you about every element of who you are, particularly your beauty. So Essence was the first magazine born of its kind that celebrated our Black beauty like that. And with a mission as beauty editor and later beauty and cover director, I knew that I had to hold up the mirror on Black womanhood so that none of us felt less than, so that we refuted the standard of beauty in this country, which had nothing to do with the truth of who we are, all shades, shapes, and sizes. And I think that came out of the beauty salon. And so I took it upon myself to become an advocate for us. So not only affirming and informing us on the pages, but also sitting in those rooms as the lone Black beauty editor for years, trying to help companies understand that how we see our beauty, how we express our beauty, that it is an emotional purchase for us, that we don't just buy products, that, you know, the language you speak to us, take care, that you have to advertise to us, with us, because I know we hungered for images of ourselves. So it took on an elevated role for me. I think also because my mother taught me that if the best is possible, then good is not enough. So it could never have become a job to me. And certainly, you know, as I point out, by the time that James Baldwin visited us at Essence and talked about how privileged we were to do the work that we were doing, if any element of it was a job before that, it ceased to be that day.
It is bigger than beauty. You continue to do work that is, in general, uplifting to Black women in particular. And I'm sitting here and I'm looking at your wall and I'm looking at my own wall. Our Glow Up readers will know that I have a similar wall here.
I get it. That's right. We get to walk in and behold who we are in all
our glory and multitudes, right?
I love it. Bravo.
But given everything that you've seen so far in your ongoing career and ongoing life, you know, you're the goddaughter of Sarah Vaughan. You have this incredible legacy, starting with your grandmother, even, who's an incredible seamstress, which so was my own. So that was another point of like deep empathy with this book. I learned to sew from my grandmother. What would you say Black girl magic looks like now to you?
Oh gosh, it is. It's a soul force. It is because, you know, even if you look at this wall behind me, and this is a barometer for me, it is every expression of us. It is certainly us, all shades, shapes, and sizes, but it is our determination. It is our transformation. It is our relentless decision to celebrate ourselves. And so when I look at us as entrepreneurs, as I look at Rihanna with over 50 plus shades of foundation, and I contrast that to a time when I had to fight with companies to get 12 shades on the shelf that, you know, spoke to at least a broad cross section of us. If I look at the journey, I mean, we are a Black beauty is a tour de force, and you can't talk about it without talking about what it took to get here. Not only from that which shows up on the shelves, but how we see ourselves, how we had to teach others how to honor us. I mean, if we look at it, the Crown Act hasn't been in existence that long, but the fact that unlike any other culture, we had to have the Crown Act pass because of the way we wear our hair, because of its diverse textures, because of that which other cultures might not understand, but they know it's distinctive and disturbing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a soul force and a force to be reckoned with.